I often hear from other designers that they can spot a Squarespace website from a mile away. So, how do we design websites that don't look like Squarespace? Let me be clear though, that our goal is not to disguise the platform that we're using. But in this day and age, where it's so easy to publish websites and everything just starts to look and feel the same, how do we create websites that truly create lasting impact? Because Squarespace is so easy to use, it comes with pre-built components and templates. I know that many users worry that their website will look just like everyone else's. But I'm a firm believer that Squarespace, like any website builder, is simply a tool. The results we achieve will ultimately depend on the creativity and expertise of the one that's using the tool. I use other website platforms because Squarespace is not for all use cases. But I'd say that Squarespace is my most favorite platform because it's the easiest for my clients to use. And my goal as a designer is not to make websites difficult, but to delight my clients by working magic with the simplest of tools. In this video, I'll walk you through my design process in creating distinctive websites on Squarespace. Let me start with the first step, which is to start with purpose. And this part is not necessarily the most fun part of the process, but I believe it informs the rest of the steps. I ask myself these questions in every project, may it be a client project or a personal project. First is, what are the goals and how can we achieve them through design? Second, what are the problems that we're solving? And third, how should the website make visitors feel? So at the start of every website project, my very first milestone is to accomplish this website strategy document. I essentially summarize insights from the data and information that I've gathered from the client and their brand. Most of these insights come from customer testimonials and feedback, Google Analytics data, as well as my own simulation while keeping in mind the target audience. So the website strategy is all about coming up with website features, functionalities, and flow that will meet these business and user goals. And in the same strategy document, I highlight key features of the website and I tie these features to the goals. Then the insights, goals, and brand tone that we establish in this step will be the lens through which we will identify which inspirations are relevant in the second step. The second step is all about immersing ourselves in diverse sources of inspirations. For context, when I work with client projects, I require them at least to have the logo, typography, and brand colors finalized before I start with a website design phase. These aren't enough for me to really establish the mood, vibe, and the overall experience. And so I still take time to go through inspirations. And when I was starting out, I simply just go through website directories like Site Inspire or Maxi Best of One. They are beautiful references. You may even visit squarestylist.com/showcase where I curate beautiful websites by our students too. But what really helped me come up with really unique designs is when I look at inspirations beyond the website design space. So I look at inspirations such as packaging design, textures, even interiors that I feel aligns with the project that I'm working on. For reference, here's how I establish the mood and vibe by curating inspirations for different projects. This one is sophisticated, editorial, and luxe, and this next example is nostalgic, earthy, and eccentric. These inspirations and the insights from our first step will all come together when we proceed to our next step, which is crafting our layouts with character. So to make this step more manageable, I broke this down into 3 sub-steps. First is defining the content. Second is visualizing the placement of our elements through our canvas. And then the third step is all about adding character, and it will be quite overwhelming to go through the steps for the entire website. So my approach is always to work on one section at a time. The first is understanding what content to present, because in layout design, our goal is to present the information in the most effective way possible. So there's this age-old debate on whether we start with the design or the copy first. Personally, as a designer, I prefer having the copy to inform my design. I really encourage the client to provide the copy or to hire a copywriter. I guide them through the process by sharing this content guide where I give them examples on how to write hero statement, and they can do it themselves. But I find that some clients, even with this much guidance, they still find it hard to provide the copy. And so if the client's not able to provide the copy, I generate placeholder content using an AI tool that I developed called CopySpark. This tool is based on established copywriting framework, so it will help you identify the sections that would go into every page. Then I find that some clients find it easier to edit the copy once they see it with the design. After defining the content, I proceed with a canvas where I assess how to effectively present the content visually. In this phase, I focus more on the placement of the elements without the typography, colors, and imagery yet, so I can ensure that the right information is prioritized. To better demonstrate how this works in practice, I'd love to share with you a case study where we'll go through this workflow. I have a page for insights and inspiration. This is encapsulating our first two steps. I also paste right here key highlights from the website strategy document. As I mentioned, even if I'm working on a personal project like this template, I still fill out the website strategy so I know exactly the features that I'll be focusing on. Then in the same Figma file, I add another page for wireframes. This is where I craft the layout. So I start by defining what content I would like to present. I go through one section at a time. I start with one focal section first. In this case, I'd like to start with a brand manifesto. And then the canvas step is where I ideate the outline or placement of elements without putting too much attention on visuals such as typography or colors. And in this phase, what helps me is referring back to our inspirations and see if there are elements which can inspire me to lay out the section. And it's totally fine to be inspired by website layouts. It will help if you'll observe how other designers are presenting content. But personally, I love looking at other design pieces and see how I can bring that to the web interface. So for this first section, I figured the highlight is the text. So I'd like to keep the images decorative. And so this one really inspired this layout, but I don't stop at just one option. I try to ideate some more. So I can tweak this by trying to extend the image. I also constantly ask myself what drew me to the inspirations that I curated and try to look for trends or commonalities. And I check if there's an opportunity to combine them. So in this example, I found that I am drawn to this overlapping elements as well as big typography. Especially for the first section of a project, I come up with several layout explorations because it's just so easy to move things around in visual builders like Figma. Note that I am using Figma, but if you are more used to other visual builders like Canva or Adobe XD, then feel free to use it. After defining the wireframe, I proceed with adding character to our layout. This is when I incorporate the visuals like typography, imagery, and the branding. I ask myself if there is a key defining feature that I can express throughout the website. Here are websites by our standout Squarespace students which have key defining features. This one by Adina of Wild Logic has geometric shapes as a key defining feature. We'll find that on the homepage, and it's expressed throughout the entirety of the website. While for this website by Shelby Herbst, you'll find that this bordered frame and outlines are prominent, and you'll find this in testimonial blocks and even in the footer. I also apply these principles to my own brand when I revamped our Square Stylist website back in 2023. In this era, I was more inspired by the characteristic of layered notes and memos. This was how I translated it into a website interface. But when I revamped the website in 2024, the main defining prominent feature is inspired by table of contents. So you'll find this archived list aesthetic or feature expressed throughout the website. Back to our case study, I will further visualize each of these wireframes into layouts with character by adding imagery, colors, and our brand type system. And among these explorations, I will pick the one which speaks the most to me. I will then keep referring back to our inspirations page until I identify what will be the key defining feature of the website. So for this project, I think this card and overlapping elements is such a prominent feature. But then when I look back, I feel like this sideway text also speaks to me. And so I was able to refine this layout. And before I get carried away and design the rest of the website with our key defining feature, I will ground myself with the constraints, because we have to remember that these designs should be translated to Squarespace. These are the questions that I ask myself. What design solution is practical to build? Can this design be easily updated? And will it meet website quality standards? In practice, what this means is when we're designing the rest of the sections, we still would like the character to be carried out throughout the rest of the sections, but I make sure that I design with development in mind. So when I propose this section, I know exactly how I can develop it. So before I propose the design, I make sure I can implement it on Squarespace, and I also make sure that it will be easy for the client to update. So you might be wondering, how do I define what's practical? I believe that knowing what's practical to design and how much time and effort it will require depends on the mastery of your chosen tool. I highly recommend having a deep understanding of the native features of Squarespace so you know exactly what is easy to build. In the last step, I'll share more how we can push the envelopes through code, and you'll realize so much more possibilities open up once we implement coding. And so this is where I remind you to design with restraint. Personally, I enter every project with a good understanding of how much energy I'm willing to pour into such. I have this complexity factor whenever I am pricing projects. Level 1 is when I don't do any additional code aside from the installation of custom fonts. Level 2 is when I just use existing techniques from my coded library. And then level 3 is when I develop new custom features. The pages are the same, but the amount of effort will be different. And I assess the level of complexity during the discovery call when the client shares their inspirations and references. So to better demonstrate it, this is a design that is level 1 because I know I will only use code for installing custom fonts. For the same project, a level 3 design will look like this, because for my solid understanding of what's possible natively in Squarespace, I know that these layouts and interaction would require significant amount of custom code. In level 2, I mentioned referencing a library of tried and tested features. Referencing this library, especially when building the rest of the sections, will really make the design and development process easy. Now you might be asking, if we just keep referring back to the same library of tested features, then won't our website start to look the same? My answer is not if we learn the true power of code. For me, code is another powerful design tool, and once we learn how to properly use it, then there's so much possibilities that will open up for us. We can creatively combine or stack the current techniques that we already know. For example, in my Standout Squarespace course, I share this code toolkit, and one of the techniques that I share is this horizontal fluid tabs. And one of our students, Zoe of Made by Zoe, was able to use that technique as a base to create this completely reimagined layout. And the same technique is used by Lindsay of Marico Studio to create this portfolio section. They're able to realize the possibilities beyond the examples that I've shown in the workshop because they understand how code works. If you wish to learn more how to harness the power of code to create standout Squarespace websites, I invite you to my free workshop called The Secrets to High-End Squarespace Projects. Please access the workshop on demand by signing up via the link below.